Dear friends, welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be diving into another really wonderful Vulnhub machine, Leeroy. And I'd like to take this video to showcase how to exploit WordPress CMS. But what's more important, I'd like to show you how to exploit Jenkins. As you know, Jenkins is the leading open source automation server. Particularly, I'd like to show you how to utilize Groovy script to get the shell on the target machine. So there will be a lot to take in this video. However, before we go ahead, if you don't mind, please subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel grow. So now, let's head over to Kali Linux to begin with. First of all, we need to discover the IP address of the target machine after we import the machine into a VMware workstation. Yes, sorry, I forgot to mention one thing. Although you can see over here, this machine should be working with VirtualBox. However, based on my practice, this machine, or you better work, or you better use VMware to do this machine. Okay, so now let's go back to Kali Linux to continue. And next, we need to discover the IP address of the target machine. We can take different approaches. One of them is net discover. And we can use the I option to specify interface, and also use the R option to specify network range to speed up the scanning process. So as you can see here, the IP address of the target machine could be discovered as 133. Maybe we can put down such information. So what shall we do next? We need to perform scanning with a map to identify open ports and services. To save time of this video, I've already completed before, so now we can get out its result. As you can see over here, I took the options like scene scan, the virtual scan, default script scan, followed by the ON option to output the result into this file. Then we can retrieve scanning results whenever. And also I use -p- to perform comprehensive or full range port scan. From the Nmap scanning, we can tell the target machine has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 open ports in total. Let's take a look at them one by one. The first open port 22. The surface is SSH or secure shell surface, and also we can get its version information, Open SSH, even include its exact version. I don't think we can find any workable exploit for this particular version. Or in most cases, we cannot do anything with SSH or Open SSH. Okay. The second open port 80, as we know, this is a default port of HTTPS service or hypertext transfer protocol. And also we can get its version information injects. And the next one is 8080. The service is also HTTP and Jetty. I don't know what it's about. And this side has robots file available, which contains one disallowed entry. And the next one, 13380. The surface is HTTP as well, and also we can get the version information Apache 2. And the last one is 33060, and the surface is MySQL. All right, so what are we going to do next? As I mentioned over and over again in my channel, if the target machine has something like a file sharing service or MySQL service running or database in general, we need to identify the weak credentials vulnerability. Okay, so now let's MySQL. Hit enter. We cannot connect to the target machine. Maybe we need to use the uppercase P to specify port number. It doesn't seem working. Okay, so next I think we should turn our focus on the remaining HTTP services one by one. Okay, oh, sorry. I think before we go ahead, I'd like to make notes. For example, I'd like to copy the major part of Nmap's result. Okay. So next, we can enumerate web applications both manually and automatically one by one. For example, the first port number or default port is 80. There is just one image. We can download this one to Kali Linux, and also we need to check its source code. Make sure we will not miss anything important. Next, we can try to analyze the picture. And Exhibit2 will retrieve all metadata of the image. And also can retrieve metadata of other types or other formats. Okay? So next, I'd like to use stack height to see whether there is any hidden message inside this image. Okay, and stack seek. We failed to support anything useful. So now let's check to see whether this site has robots file or not. No, not. And next we can run Nicto to perform comprehensive enumeration. In the meantime, we can have a look at the second port, which is also running HTTP service. Hit enter. This way can save our time, right? So this is the Jenkins platform, or open source automation server. We can run command, we can run scripts. Okay, so next we can try to use default credentials to log in or sign in, admin and admin sign in. Invalid username or password. And also we can try to use such as Spritz, Jenkins, to see whether there is some vulnerability of this application. Of course, at this moment, we didn't get its version yet. Okay, so next we can try to perform directory enumeration with GoBuster. Okay, so now, and also we can check its source code. Nothing here. So next we can have a look at the next port number. This way can save us a lot of time. And now let's go back to terminal. And I don't think we can find anything useful. And although, there is images directory, but we got error forbidden. Even, we can check its source code. Oh, just one picture. All right. So next, I'd like to interrupt go past here because we can't get anything new. All right. So next, what else? So the port 80, nothing, right? Useful, nothing useful. Port 8080 is running Jenkins, but now without login. Next, let's go back to the browser to see what it's about. Why it's taking so long time? I need to check the port number. Yes, 13380. So I think this is one of the problems of this machine. And the application which is running on the port number 13380 always takes a bit long time to to load. Okay. Anyhow, we can wait this to be loaded. Yes, however, we got error. We are having trouble finding that site because the browser is trying or was trying to connect the server at this address or this host name. We can copy. So next, I think we can append this entry. This entry has two parts, IP address, and another is host name or domain name. It's done. So now we can go back to the browser, refresh this page to see what would be different. Although this application is a bit lagging, I think it's tolerable to some extent in comparison to some CTF rooms like Chahagmi. Okay, now it's loaded. So Leeroy, need more dots. And on the top, we can find the hyperlink. And I think this should be, I think from the address we can tell the application was built with WordPress CMS. And also from this logo, we can know indeed this application was built with WordPress, one of the most popular CMS content management system. Also, we can we can check its source code to confirm this point. As you can see over here, the address like WordPress includes WordPress content. Okay, it's quite clear that this application was built with WordPress, or maybe in other words, running over WordPress. Okay. So now let's go back to the browser, and we can some links, a blog, and contacts, because the any link will take more time to load. And also we can check its source. Nothing very special here. So next, I'm going to, because at this moment or up to now, we can't do very much against this application and also this application. So this should be our vector or attack vector at this moment. So next, I think we can launch WordPress again, and I suggest using the false option. Otherwise, this will take a very long time. I don't know why. Okay, so now because we already know this application is WordPress, so now we can hit enter to see what we can get. Here, WP scan followed by the URL option. It's very straightforward. Okay, and you can use IP address or host name alternatively. And also here I'm using a -e option, which is short for enumeration, and U and P. U stands for username. So I'm using these two options to enumerate both usernames and plugins. Of course, we can use another option or dedicated option to perform more comprehensive enumeration. Let me show you what I mean by this. We can use the help option. Sometimes, sorry, seems to be down. So this is the problem. Don't worry, we can do it again. Because when I did the machine previously, I encountered a similar problem, with timeout problem. I don't know why, and I can't figure out that. Okay, so now let me, go back to this tab to explain another dedicated option to enumerate plugins. Yeah, this one, plugins detection. And so the default value for this option is passive. However, we can use the mixed option and to perform both passive and aggressive approach to enumerate. Okay. So why it's taking so long time? Yes, this is the problem. And contact the blog. This is the default user login. Oh, sorry. Yes. I'm doing correctly. I was a bit, confused. Okay, and also we can try to use admin and admin to log in. Very lucky. Or lagging. Yeah, now, as you can see, WordPress scan has started its enumeration, although it's very lagging. So I'd like to take this opportunity to to give you some recap when you deal with WordPress. Usually, first of all, the enumeration and exploitation with WordPress. First of all, you need to know whether the site is built with WordPress, and you can for example, you can get to know such information from the home page, like at the bottom or on the top. And also you can go to the source code to check address. Okay. And sometimes, if of course in some other cases we need to this would be more complicated. Even we need to manually specify the directory for the WordPress content directory. Okay, but in many cases, I think we can determine whether the site is built with WordPress CMS or not. Okay, if after we can confirm WordPress CMS is running on the target machine, next we can launch WordPress again and to enumerate username and plugin. Okay, and if username is identified, and we can try to brute force for sorting the password, okay, for this user. And you can use like a local word list or some custom word list based on the knowledge. Okay, for example, we can use the Q command to generate password dictionary from the web page, or use, for example, we can use cronch, blah 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 blah. Okay, and however, if we can't crack password for WordPress, we need to, of course, here also we need to know the plugin or has vulnerable plugin or not. Okay, just now, at this step, we can know whether there is any vulnerable plugin. Okay, however, just I said, in some cases we need to use this dedicated option to perform more comprehensive enumeration. Okay, so I think, of course, another case, if we can crack password and then we can log in to the WordPress administrator panel, and if we're lucky, the user is administrator, and then we can upload the web shell to the target machine. Okay, and finally we can get the shell on the target machine. So I think it's clear. I have already mentioned this methodology of exploiting WordPress multiple times. So here, headers, interesting point, and we find this plugin with 80% confidence, and now it's enumerating users via passive and aggressive methods. Okay. contact form, and this is, I think this should be body press. So we can use another tab to check whether such plugin is vulnerable or not. So like this one, we can copy. Oh. And also we need to get its version. It's not vulnerable, I think. So how about this one? And also we need to match its version 5.2. I don't think this plugin is vulnerable. So how about this one? Contact form. Contact form. Contact form 7. I don't think it's vulnerable as well. So how about, oh, there's so many plugins. Great. Search Sprite. No results. So how about this one? The version. Okay. Oh, no result. Maybe we need to remove the dash. So there's 10. So remote file inclusion, and the version matches. So I'd like to get this exploit code or this file from the source to the current working directory. So next, I see I need to the enumerating users. So I had like, I do not want to wait it anymore. The result would be, one user can be discovered or identified. However, we cannot crack its password. Okay? And you can use the same tool to perform brute forcing. Use this one, but with different options. The -u and followed by the username and a -p to specify with the list. Okay? I think I already explained it very clear. So now let's have a look at this PHP exploit code. Oh, I don't think this is PHP, just some instruction. So the version disclosure. And I think, okay, this is POC. So maybe, the two types of file inclusion vulnerability. The first one is local file inclusion vulnerability. And even this version is vulnerable to remote file inclusion vulnerability. So I like to copy both and paste onto notebook. So next, first of all, we can try to access or detect or verify this local file inclusion vulnerability. Okay, so we can use Q and copy the address or prefix of this address, and so we can copy, hit enter, and we successfully retrieved password file. Sweet. Okay, and from this file we can tell there is one normal user, Leeroy. We can copy and paste over here. So also I'd like to check to see whether, this application or this plugin is vulnerable to remote file inclusion, because RFI is more fruitful if RFI exists, and then we can get the shell very easily. So how to test? Let me show you. We can create the test file, hello test, and we can set up a web server with Python 3. So next we can copy this part. Okay, we can copy. Oh, just now you see identified one user, Leeroy, although it has taken very long time. Okay, so now we can use q HTTP. So what's the name? Leeroy HTTP. Oh, I forgot to put the port number. So what's the port number? Okay, and do not forget to specify URL, IP address of the Linux. Hit enter, but we got the shell. Oh, we got the request. Fantastic. So how to do next? Maybe we can put some reversal command to the shell file, or maybe we can copy this PHP reversal file and okay, IP address of Linux. It's done. And also we can set up the listener on the Linux, waiting for collection from the target machine. So next, I think we can Leeroy port number. Okay. It looks like the file has not been interpreted by PHP long time. Just download it, right? Download it. So I don't think, although the application is vulnerable to remote file inclusion, we cannot get the shell through this vulnerability. Okay, but anyhow, we have already know that the target machine is vulnerable to local file inclusion vulnerability, which is great, right? So next, we can retrieve more information. For example, we can try to see whether we can get private key of the user Leeroy, right? Home SSH. Nothing returned. And we can try to retrieve the bash history You know, we just following standard methodology, right? For the local file inclusion vulnerability. Oh, we get something. And so some command. And even we can find the password for the Jenkins, right? So let me copy and paste over here. So the password for the Jenkins initial admin. Next, we can try to see whether we can retrieve the authentication file. Okay, var log authentication file not returned. So how about in Jenkins? In Jenkins access log. Oh, a lot of output. So I think we can, we can try to poison this log file, right? So how to do? We can, of course, we can set up the listener on the canonics waiting for collection. So next, I'd like to use the queue, and I forgot to, so how to, yes, the user agent. We can, so the user agent is not in the logger file. Oh yes, user agent is there. So now we can use the A option and try to write one liner of web shell. Okay, PHP system get cmd and HTTP Leeroy HTTP, right? HTTP is correct, and port number. Okay. If we can write into or poison the logger file, and then we can try to get the shell on the target machine. Okay, but why it's taking so long time? Anyhow, we have already got credentials for the Jenkins. So now I think we can go back to Jenkins platform and try to sign in. We can copy, because I do not want to waste your time. In the first place, we can copy and sign in. Why it's taking so long time? So of course, I think I've already demonstrated this technique. If we can get access to Jenkins, and then we can utilize this automation server for our purpose, or to get the shell on the target machine, or get the reverse shell. Okay, and some of my views, but you need to go to manage Jenkins, and you can find this script console. we can run this kind of Groovy script. And then you can use Google to make some research. And then you can get, for example, this is a script, a Groovy script to get the reverse shell. We can copy and paste over here. Of course, we need to do some modification in accordance with the current environment. So the string host, no, not this one. This would be our Kali Linux, right? And port number, I'd like to use 5555. And the command should be bash, because the target machine is Linux, not Windows. Okay? And now, okay, I think we have already got back the response. So anyhow, we can try to run this Groovy script and run it. And now let's go back to, yes, as you can see, we have already got back collection from the target machine. Sweet. And then we can spawn a beta shell with Python. Python 2 is not available. Python 3 is there. Good. And we can import pty module spawn. Okay. And also I'd like to define environment variable term. So then we can, not export term color. And then we can clear screen whenever to get a big space on the window. Okay. So now let's make some enumeration and go to the home directory, Leeroy. And at this moment, we cannot access user flag. And go to opt directory, go to the var backups. Oh, nothing here. Maybe next, oh, okay, of course, we can go to www directory, HTML. Nothing here. Roy. Oh, permission denied, which is fine. Next, I'd like to upload Nmap's shell script. Okay, so now we can, for example, we can find the tools Nmap's. Oh, no Nmap's. Locate. And I can copy from this directory. And so the Python 3 or web server is running. Not yet, no problem. And now we can use wget to upload. Okay. Nmap's. It's done. And then we can make it executable. And then we can run it. When we attempt to make privilege escalation, in most circumstances, we should take advantage of this wonderful script to perform automatic enumeration. So in the meantime, I'd like to take another way or try the second way to get the initial, or not the initial, to get the shell, okay? So how to do? Because just now we have already poisoned the log file. So now let me, set up another listener like 66. Okay. So next we can use the Q Leeroy HTTP and we can copy this part. var log injects access log cmd ID. Maybe I need to use the single quotes to wrap this address. This would be safer. Okay. So now I think we have already set up the listener, right? Yes, this one. We can hit enter. I put a wrong port. Okay. So now we can hit enter. To see whether, but the command is not executed. So this simply means we can get the same conclusion. We cannot exploit remote file inclusion vulnerability to get a shell, okay, which is fine since we have already got the shell already, right? So now it's done. And next we can check its output. So searching passwords inside the logs and credential. Nothing here. Readable files. So all relevant hidden files. Oh, Jenkins. So this directory for Jenkins application. Good. Maybe later we can check to see whether we can access its configuration, which possibly contains credentials. After all, Jenkins requires authentication, right? So let's scroll up. Oh, yes, credentials files inside this directory. So I think we can copy and paste over here. Also, we can get its directory. Okay, we can scroll up to see what else we can find or we can get. So the binaries with SUID. Nothing interesting here. So MySQL, credentials, and so what's this? Credentials, yes. And we can find this, so the username and the password. Just now we found the password for the admin, right? And here we find the password and the username is Leeroy. Very, very Interesting. So the plugins credentials. So I think this password has been encrypted with or by Jenkins. This is the class, right? Good. So I think next we can use Google to make some research to get the command to decrypt the password. Yes. This one. I think we can copy these few lines. And then we can go to this one, and of course I think we can copy this one first. Also, I think we can put the command or statement or script or maybe we can we can copy and we try to run this code first. Okay, and of course the password is this one, and we can copy and replace. And now we can run it. Or maybe we need to disconnect this session first. And then we can get the password, right? Fantastic. So now I think we can use SSH to connect to the target machine. All right, SSH, Leeroy, and the IP address of the target machine. Leeroy. Oh, I misspelled the IP address. Okay, and we are in. I think this is a better shell, and then we can grab user flag without any difficulty. So next we can try to elevate privilege. For example, we can check to see whether current user Leeroy can run sudo. It can and can run this installer. We can check to see what it's about. We can check its permission. And current user do not have permission to manipulate this file. Next, we can read or access this file. Hit enter. So, install JTK package, and then install injects, and then download from this address. And also download this one, HTTPS, and we'll save it to this location or this file. As you know, $1 means positional argument. So what can we do next? I think we need to check to see whether we can, point this request to Kali Linux. And there is one must precondition: host file. Usually, this file is allowable only allowable by root. Yes, Yeah, very weird. You know, the host file, this is the link or soft link and linked to this file. So next, I think we can check to see whether we can manipulate this file. We can, but only this user can. Leeroy cannot. So this will not be a problem for us. We can just utilize Jenkins or particularly Groovy script to get a share of this user. Okay, so I think we can copy this command one more time. Sudo, and we can run this script. Groovy host. Oh, I forgot to copy the first line. Okay, copy. Don't worry, we get an error, right? Error message, very verbose error message, which can help us to debug, right? We can run, and then we can get the shell as before. pty spawn. So next, you know what I'm going to do next? I try to, point this address to Linux, and then, I will create, one file, and actually this file is password file, and we'll save it to, for example, save it to, like this one, we'll save to password, this file. And of course, first of all, we need to create this file. Let me show you what I mean. Sorry. And we can copy the content of this file. Password, okay? And then we can, copy the first line and paste, because I'm going to create a new user, and this user, you can use any username like JSON, but also we need to create its password, okay? So how to do? We can use open SSL password, and for example, MD5. This one stands for MD5. The OpenSSL can support a variety of algorithm of hashing. Okay, and also we can specify the sort like JSON. You can use any sort, and the password, very simple. Password, and then we can copy this password. Oh, sorry, we can copy and paste in here. So now we can write and quit. Of course, we need to, rename this file, and the file name should be the same as this one, okay? And also we need to create the, directory. Okay, we can copy. Oh, we first to rename this file first, and then we can create the binary recursively. Next, we can move this file to the directory. Next, we need to set up a web server, and the web server, of course, next, I think we need to echo. Oh, sorry, not this one. Should be, we should be here, echo IP address of Kernel Linux, and the host name is this one. We can copy. Okay, and save it to, which one? Yeah, this host file. We can copy. Okay, it's done. So now the next thing we need to set up the server. And as you can see over here, we need to use HTTPS server, web server, because as you can see, HTTPS. And normally, the Python, this module can only support HTTP, not HTTPS. So how to do that? You can go to, you can use Google and make some research, and you can find this script on the Digital Ocean. This very, very famous service provider. Okay, and we need to do two things. One, we need to create our certificate and private key. Very easy. We just copy, and you just leave all fields as blank. Hit enter, and now you can see, the certificate file and the key file or private key file have been created. So now next, we can use this script to set up HTTPS server. We can copy, and we can use the code editor, and we can set up like HTTPS server, paste in here, and the port number should be 443, right? So I think that's all. We can save. So now we can run this server. However, you will get the error because now our version is a bit high, 3.13. This is the outdated statement or outdated way to to create HTTPS server. So we need to do some modification. So how to do, and not very difficult. So there should be context, and this should be SSL context, or not SSL, which one? Yes, context. And then we can specify the protocol and server. All right, so next is we need to load the certificate context, load certificate chain, and we need to specify two options, cert file, and this should be this one. I use a copy and paste way because this way will not make a mistake. And key file, we can specify here. Okay, so next would be, we need to, so here we can use the context and wrap. Okay, socket, And we can remove these two options here. I can save. Hopefully, now we can get the error disappeared. Python 3 HTTPS. So as you can see, the the error has disappeared. Beautiful. So now what we can do next, we can try to, I think I've already got everything ready. Now we can run sudo and this one. Of course, also we need to give one positional argument, okay? Password. So sudo building package lists. But we didn't receive the request. Yes. So our own HTTPS server has received request for this file. Of course, this file is actually password file, and this password file has already inserted our created user, and this user has root privilege. Okay, so now we just let this command finished, and then we can continue. I think this is a bit different way to elevate privilege. Temporarily, of course, this will not be successful. Reading package. I think we have already manipulated this file. So now we can switch to JSON. Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It does work. So now we can grab the final flag. Great. And so I think that's pretty much it. I'd like to see you next. Bye. Have a good day, please.